Yeah. Since 2019, we've been building mindset and purpose for real estate agents, entrepreneurs, leaders, people becoming more than they were yesterday.
Monday through Friday we rise. We win the morning, we win the mind. Faith over fear, pressure into purpose, confidence built through the work. Something good is gonna happen to me. Something good is gonna happen to me. I don't need all the answers, I just need belief. Becoming who I'm called to be, making impact bigger than me. God first, doubt steps back. When it gets heavy, we figure it out. You're not here by accident, you're part of the story. Stepping strong, stepping faith. Let's get your mindset right.
Well, good morning, everyone. Happy Figured Out Friday. Happy Figured Out Friday. Say good morning in the chat. Say good morning in the chat. We have a show for you like no other today. I'm so very excited to have you all on here this morning. It is one of our Figured Out Friday specials that we have. If this is your first time being on here, welcome, welcome. What I always love to do, Jack, what up, brother? It's good to see you, Jack, from down in Florida. Lorraine, what's going on? Kelly's here, Jackie's here. What up, Sherry? You sipping that coffee? Robin's down in Key West over here. Guys, do me a favor. Put your name in the chat. Tell us where you're calling us from. Put your contact information in there. We're all about referrals. We're all about helping people in this community that we have here. And for those of you, tell me how many times you've been on this show. How many times you've been on this show? Give us an estimate too. For those of you who are the OGs that've been on here for a while, think Chet's thinking about it. He's like, how many times have I been on here? So put that in the chat so that way we get to see all the different people that are around here. If you could be on video, come on video. We got some amazing things. Manukpa, my uncle's on here today. I just get excited. What up, John? Mr. Kastner's on here. Christine, good morning to you. Lynn, what's happening, Lynn? Ethan, my workout man at 5:30 in the morning. Guys, we got a lot to unfold. I'm about to share with you things that you guys can't find. I'm going to ask Tamir questions that you can't chat GPT it. You can't go to Claude. You can't go to Google and Gemini and look at these questions. I'm about to ask him are things that are pulling or peeling the onion back. These are the figured out Friday. These are the figured out moments in your life that we have going on, that what makes us who we are today, the process, the people that we become, the person that you become. So, as always, good morning, everybody. My name is Coach Brock Zevan. I'm a life coach, business coach, real estate coach, and a DAD. And today's a special show that we have lined up for you. This show, for those of you that are new to this show started 5 years ago. If you scroll around here, you'll see him. He is the original OG of this show. It started 5 years ago, where it was just him and I on a phone talking to each other. And we asked each other how our day was going to be. And I texted him this morning and I thanked him in gratitude that Mike Kastner that's on here. I said, man, I never in my right mind would have thought that we would have 100 people on this show. And here we are today that we have 100 people. And it was just him and I at that point. And it started because I had a drinking problem 10 years ago. And I drank every day that ended in Y. And I said, you know what? I can do something good. I could do something positive any day that ends in Y. And so I started this podcast show, and we do it 255 times a year. Over 1,200 times I've been on here. And it is a place for us, for a community, for us to get together. So if this is your first time, you can come back any single time, Monday through Friday. We have different leaders on this show. We have different people that speak each and every morning at 8:15 Eastern time. So, Mike, I want to say thank you, brother. I appreciate you. Now, one of the things that we do each and every morning is, oh, we reached capacity on here. We reached capacity. I guess we only can do 100 people on here. So we'll have to figure that out. We'll have to figure that problem out later. But for those of you that are on here, what we like to do each and every morning is we do an affirmation. So this is where it gets a little crazy. Some of the people that if you're around others, they might think you're weird, but I want everybody to come off of mute. Every single person, you come off of mute, and we're going to all say it together on the count of three. On the count of three, I want us to all say this with love, with meaning deep down inside of us, that this is something special that you're going to do. This is an affirmation that we say. So on the count of three, we all say it together. 1, 2, and 3.
Something
Good
good
is
is
going
going
to
to
happen
happen to
to
me.
me.
Good is gonna happen to
It
me.
is going to happen
It's
through
going to
me.
happen
Through me.
through me.
It's
Going to happen through me.
like music. It's music, I tell you. Music to my ears when I hear all these wonderful people. Now, for those of you who are driving, usually we hear some profanity words, or we find out the real person you are because you're either yelling at your kids, trying to get out the door. So just make sure you hit the mute button back again, so that way we don't get too crazy. So, our guest today, how many of you? I want you to drop a me in the chat. Drop a me in the chat if you have limiting beliefs, had a limiting belief in some capacity, in some form. Drop a me in the chat if you had a limiting belief at some capacity, in some form of your life. And I had that with Tamir. And I was real nervous to ask this guy to be on this podcast show because I was just like, he's got a lot going on. And then I see the whole Remax thing go on, and I'm like, yeah, he really has a lot going on right now. And for him to come to my podcast show that we have on here, I'm like, he's not going to want to do that. So I had a limiting belief. And then I got my head out of my tail and I built it up and I said, you know what? Screw it. I'm just going to text him and see what he says. I texted the guy. Yeah, sure. I was like, well, I wasn't expecting. It's like, how many of you sometimes get the answer you're not expecting, and you're like, well, now what? I'm like, oh, when does he want to do it? So to go back to how I met Tamir, this is the type of guy he is, and this is why I knew this show was going to be very special today. So when I left my former company to come to Real, Brad Cook and Heather Cook were the people. They live right here in Charlotte, and I asked them. I said, hey, I'm thinking about coming to Real. I said, I really didn't like where I was before. I had some challenges on what I was doing. And I was like, you know what? But this time I want to meet the big guy. I want to meet him. And they're like, well, Brock, I'm not too sure if we can do that. I was just like, well, okay. And I was coached by John Maxwell. And John Maxwell says, you got to come from not assignment, alignment. And I said, I want alignment this time on the next firm that I go to. Brad, the next day, says, Tamir will talk to you. He's in Israel and he'll do Zoom. I was like, what? Seriously? So literally, him and I met on Zoom for the first time. And we started talking. He had books in his background and I had books in my background. And we just started talking. And then the next time I met him is face to face here in Charlotte. We did a conference here. We both spoke on my mess to success. And this is when he changed my life. We started talking about our divorce. We started talking about our problems. We started talking about things, and he told me, man, and he was going through his divorce, and I was just like, I was fighting mine. He's like, bud, let me just tell you, just nip it in the butt, get it out of the way. Just go right at, like, stop fighting that, stop taking that negative energy towards it. Well, I didn't listen to him. And $75,000 later, it's over with. 5 years of fighting negative energy. But I remembered that, Tamir, and I remember you telling that to me, and it meant a lot to me. And then last but not least, yesterday, I called Tamir, and him and I finally talked, and I was just like, hey, man, I just want to talk about the show and what we got going on. And he says, Brock, I don't want to know the questions, and I just want it to be completely raw and real. And I was like, damn, I was really hoping that I'd have a little bit of an idea where I was going to go with this. But that's the real raw person that we have today. So guys, do me a favor. The CEO of Real, the main man himself from Israel, which is, I think, the farthest we've ever had anybody come on here today. Drop some hearts in the chat, drop some fives in the chat, all. And Mr. Tamir, welcome, brother. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Brock. Hi, everyone. Good morning. Excited to be here. Thanks for the introduction, Brock. I'm humbled.
Man, I'm so excited to have you here and for this day to take shape. And so for those that don't know you, for those of you who are like, well, I kind of know the guy. I've seen, we've seen all the stuff online on different things that with the merger and everything else, but give us a 10,000 foot overview. You're a dad. You run a very large company. Talk to us a little bit. Give us a 10,000 foot overview. Somebody like, who's Tamir?
I don't know. I consider myself just a simple guy. I'm a dad. I have 5 kids. I live in Israel. I'm passionate about real estate. I've been in real estate for over 20 years. And I don't know. I'm just driven by the desire to help others succeed. So I was trying to build businesses that will kind of manifest that desire. And some of them succeeded, some of them didn't. But here we are.
Here we are. So let's go back to here we are. So Figure It Out Friday is all about moments we had to figure out. And I was doing some research, and the company started in 2014. Well, it announced itself in 2014. You and I had a conversation several years ago when we were talking about that. There's a moment in our lives all that we have a fork in the road. Mine was in 2007 when I failed my real estate exam 7 times. And I said, this is the last time I take this, because if not, I'm going to stay a school teacher. This show never would have existed if I didn't pass that test by 2 points. And it was a very defining moment in my life and what transpired for me. Cause I know, like, I'm blessed now with the money, the people, the show, because as a school teacher, that wouldn't have happened. So you had a moment that many people don't know about where you had the, oh shit, I don't know if Real's going to exist. Like if this doesn't happen, it's not here. And walk us through that. Cause it was the company started in 2014, but I'm sure the figuring out the shit show started probably in 2010 when you were going through this and this thought process of everything that you got. Like, talk us through that moment where this was the defining moment. Like, it's happening or it's not.
Wow, there's a lot to unpack here. I think that Real was born, as you said, back in 2014. And prior to that, I was in real estate. And before that, I was in technology. And I wanted to merge those 2 passions of mine, technology and real estate. And this is why Real was born. But at the time, I was going through a divorce, as you were saying, and it took a few years. And I really didn't have a choice. So I needed to start a business. I cannot be employed. I hate offices. I hate working for anybody else. I knew that I'm an entrepreneur, and otherwise it's just death for me. Like going to work for somebody equals death or almost death. So I knew that I needed to reinvent myself after I sold my previous business. And pretty much I didn't have a choice. I had 3 young kids at the time, and I needed to provide for them. Legal costs of divorce are super high, and I was left with nothing, even less than nothing, because I owed some money to the Israeli tax authorities. So I just needed to start a business, and this is why Real was born. Then in 2019, 5 years after we started, the company hit a plateau, and it stopped growing, and it wasn't attractive for investors, and obviously it was not profitable, and we needed to constantly raise money. And after about 2 years of not growing and not being attractive for investors and not managing to raise money, we were left with less than $50,000 in the bank. I laid off all of the employees that I could. I just kept it to the bare minimum of operation. We had, I think, 500 or 600 agents at the time. And I came back to my board of directors and I told them, we're running out of money. I'm not successful at bringing in new investors, which is, by the way, a huge personal failure, because as a CEO, this is what you need to do. You need to make sure that the company has enough gas in the tank to continue and operate. But I came back to the board and said, I failed. I failed both in making the company grow and making it shine, but also at bringing in new investment. And I need you guys to put in a little bit of money so we can figure it out. And they asked me, what's your plan? And I said, I don't really have a plan, to be honest. But I will figure it out. And luckily, they were willing to give me a little bit of money. But at that point in time, you were talking about a fork. One of our first investor, who's an amazing guy, an angel investor, and he grew to be a very close friend of mine. At that point, when I went back to the board and asked for more money, he picked up the phone that night and told me, I love you, and I think that you should take some time to think whether this is what you want to continue doing with your life, because there might be a different path for you. And it was shocking for me, because this guy was the biggest believer in Real. He believed in the vision. He was there from day one. He invested a lot of money. And just hearing him question whether this is something I need to continue to do was shocking. And
isn't that crazy, Tamir, on how it's the closest people, our closest loved ones, family, that want us to stay in our comfort zone, to stay in our bubble. Mine's my mom. My mom told Brock, you shouldn't do that. Brock, it's too much. Brock, you're burning the candle. Brock. I'm just like, Mom. But like it comes from the closest people, the loved ones, like you said. Because I was like, oh my goodness, I'm like, that's so true.
And you know what? It came from a place where he didn't care about the money invested. He cared about me. It was him genuinely thinking about my future and my well-being and my chances of success. And he just said, you should take a few days and ask yourself the hard question. For me, there was no doubt in my mind that I will make it work. But hearing it from him made me pause and take the night and actually think about it. And I woke up in the morning very determined to make it happen. So I went back to the board and I said, I'm going to make it happen. I need a little bit of money. And that was in the middle of 2019. And about a year later, everything started happening for us. But that was a point in time where it was very easy to give up and say, okay, I've invested 5 years in this. I've burned through a lot of other people's money, some of my money as well. But it's not working. And it was not working. It was a complete disaster at that point. So I think that today, when people see Real and we continue to grow and we continue to attract more agents and we improve profitability and we build amazing technology, we have to remember that this doesn't happen overnight. And success is built on a series of failures. And sometimes it's just one person's determination that divides between a complete failure to something that could become success.
I wrote down this word here. For those that are taking notes, like these are the conversations that are the best to take notes, because you can get some one-liners, some things that was just said right there. And I wrote down this word, Tamir. I wrote down the word believe. See, if you believe, it doesn't matter, as my mom would say, Tom, Dick, and Harry, it doesn't matter who. I always would wonder too, Mom. I'm like, Mom, who are those people? But why do you use those names all the time? She'd say, I don't care about Tom, Dick, and Harry. All I care about is you. And in this, for those that are listening, you need to understand, it doesn't matter what the outside noise says, the distractions, the online, the social medias, even your friends, family, and your loved ones. If you believe in yourself, nothing can stop you. Not one single person. But you have to believe in yourself, because if you don't believe in yourself, it was like when I stopped drinking. If I didn't want to stop drinking, it didn't matter how many AA meetings, it didn't matter a damn thing what anybody else thought, encouragement. It had to be inside. And so for you, Tamir, to be like, you know what? I'm going back in there. I'm a badass, and I'm going to tell them we're doing it because I believe in myself. And that's that gets me all fired up. That gets me all fired up over here, because that's the people. When I say assignment versus alignment, it's the alignment of being in people that are around here, the alignment of people you want in your corner on how that works. Now, because I only have so many questions I can ask in this short period of time, I want to go back to another huge moment that we've all seen online. And for, a short little, couple coins in your pocket, $880 million, you go and like, you know what? I think this Remax thing might be something I should do. And yesterday I'm talking to Tamir and I'm negotiating a due diligence. And I'm like, hey, Tamir, what's going on? He's like, I got all this Remax stuff I'm doing right now and this paperwork and I'm trying to do this. And I'm like laughing to myself. I'm like, here I am arguing over $1,000 in due diligence. And this guy's like trying to like figure out this whole Remax real situation. Perspective, right? Perspective. And so what was going through your head? Because how many of you, drop a 5 in the chat that you might be going through a transition right now? Drop a 5 in the chat that you're trying to make a decision. Drop a 5 in the chat if you're hemming and hawing whether this is the right thing for me, the right firm for me, the right career move for me, the right thing that I should be doing, maybe the right relationship, the right marriage. Drop a 5 if that is something that you're contemplating in your life. And I'm pretty sure, Tamir, you didn't wake up and you're like, you know what? I think I'm just going to call down Remax. Could somebody get me the company's number? I'm just going to call them and just throw in a bid, just see what happens. Like, walk us through the process of going through. Like, all right, guys, once again believe in myself. I think we're gonna go after Remax. I'm sure your boardroom was like, excuse me, what are we about to do? Like, walk us through that.
So I'll tell you a story because I think it's wilder than you even think. But before that, I would say that as entrepreneurs, we have to be borderline crazy in our dreams, in our belief in ourselves, in our determination to succeed. You cannot be an entrepreneur and not be somewhat crazy because it's a crazy lifestyle, because we bet on ourselves. But the story with Remax, and you're not going to believe that, in February of 2021, Real had roughly 1,500 agents. Remax had 160,000. So 100 times, 100x. I text one of my board members. I still have this text message, which I showed him a few weeks ago. I texted him this: you might think I'm crazy, but I think we should acquire Remax. February of 2021.
Isn't that crazy? That's
he
crazy,
immediately
y'all.
replies saying, I don't think you're crazy, but let's discuss it. I picked up the phone. I told him, I believe we are going to build the best technology for brokerage. And once we build that technology, it's all about distribution. Remax is an amazing company, amazing brand. If we can bring our values or our competitive advantage that we will build in the future to a network like Remax, we can make Remax the most amazing company in the world. And he said, you know what? That's interesting. Let's see if anyone is even willing to back us up in such acquisition, because you need a lot of money. So we scheduled a meeting with a private equity fund.
Just $800 million.
For a few days later, and I was sitting in their boardroom and I was pitching a deal with Remax that I didn't know anything about. I just knew like whatever was publicly available. And the partners were looking at me as if I was crazy. Like, this is a tiny company that recently raised $2 million at a $20 million valuation. And you're thinking about acquiring the biggest name in real estate. And we just walked out, and I told my board member, it's going to take a while, but it's going to happen. And then, I don't know if you read the S4, all the filings that we filed with the SEC. We made the first offer to Remax in 2024.
In 2020 what?
In 2024. We had some meetings with them, and then we sent them an offer to acquire Remax, which they declined. And then, luckily, a few months ago, we did sign the deal, and obviously it was very competitive. A few other companies wanted to acquire Remax, but I'm super happy about the fact that we can join forces with them. But it all started with this crazy idea 5.5 years ago.
And that's the thing, all. That, like, I'm writing down these notes. I wrote this down February 2021 because how many of you put a me in the chat that you want instantaneous results? Put a me in the chat. Like, I want my stuff freaking now. All right. I'm just going to go sit at my desk and I want it right this moment. He said February 2021. And for those of you who saw it on the news, it just came out a couple months ago, which was 2026. I'm not the sharpest, but in math, that's 5 years. We want things in 5 minutes. And sometimes in life, you have to, before you get the blessing, it's going to take some time. But are you willing to put in the effort? Because then he gets told no in 2024. And I don't even know how many more times you were told no. And I'm pretty sure it just wasn't one time that you're being told no. But you're absolutely right. When it comes time for, you got to be freaking crazy obsessed in this world if you want to be an entrepreneur and if you want to really make it to the next level. How many of you want to make it to the next level? Drop a 10 in the chat. How many of you are tired of freaking playing small and you're just like, I need to play big? And if you do, you need to think big. You need to think crazy. You need to get around crazy people. And at the end here, I'm going to tell you all to put your phone numbers in the chat because people on here need to talk and have conversations with like-minded people. And that's what he did. Tamir says, I'm going to call one of the board members. And he puts it out there. That's like New Year's resolutions when people like don't say, I'm not going to tell anybody this. So if I fail at it, nothing happens. But if you tell somebody, if you let somebody know. So my last question, because I know I said, how much time do I have for you? So I want, like, walk me through the win though. When that phone rings, or I don't know, I'm pretty sure they just didn't text you. You got the deal. Like, walk me through that achievement, like all those 5 years, the conversations, how are we going to figure it out, all this type of stuff. Like, what was that moment like when I guess I would assume maybe you can't get this in chat GPT. You're like, how did Tamir find out about Remax? Like, this is the non-chat GPT version. Like,
Yeah.
what was that thought process? Like, were you like, oh my God. So like, walk me, like, what did that feeling feel like of that achievement that like we did it?
Sure. So you know what? People who know me know that I don't act competitive, but I love winning. I win. I don't compete. I win, and you wouldn't hear me saying anything bad about any other company. I just know that eventually I will win because I have something that most people don't have, and that's patience to wait for the moment that things will be mine. So in 2024, when we submitted the bid, I thought it was like 50-50. But then when the process started again a couple of years later, I knew it was ours. Even though it was super competitive, I had a gut feeling that this time, this belongs to me. This belongs to Real. And then it came down to kind of the last couple of weeks where the other party called Party C, which many of you probably heard about, was fighting really hard to win the deal. And obviously, there were some question marks whether the Remax is going to choose us or not. But then when finally they called me and said, we chose you, obviously there was a sigh of relief, but deep inside, I knew that this is what was going to happen. And I think that at that point, I started thinking about the implication of what's going to happen to me personally in the next few years. So my first reaction, I think the first 24 hours were, wow, I just created myself a lot of work for many, many years. And it was the first time that I was thinking about kind of the personal price that I will need to pay if that deal goes through. And that was maybe the initial reaction beyond just, being very happy and very proud of our team for that accomplishment.
I don't know if you all wrote that down. Somebody can put it in the chat. I just changed my whole new line now is I don't compete, I win. I love that line. How many of you love that line? Drop a me in the chat. If that's something like if you take anything from today, besides the fact that it's not going to happen overnight, but I don't compete, I win. I love that. I use the word when you said patience, I wrote that down, patience. but I use, if my cousin Rob's on here, I use the word endurance. And it started when I was much younger and I would play basketball. And I never would lose I might have lost a game, but I would never lose a series. Because if I lost the game, I'd say, let's do best out of three. And if I lost the best out of three, I say, let's do best out of five. And if I lost best out of five, I say, let's do best out of seven. I would push the opponent until they said, I'm done playing. And I would say, good, I won. Then I won then. Because I just knew that if I just stayed in the ring, stayed in the court just a little bit longer than my competition, I'm going to win. And so by you saying that really resonated with me when you said that. Now, we are a little bit over. I'm going to ask the most infamous question before we say our two big announcements that we have right after this. So you don't leave because we got two big announcements. Okay. The first question that I ask, my last question for you, Tamir, that I ask every single person on Figure It Out Friday is, what's the one thing, everything that you've grown through, everything you've gone through, what's the one thing you'd like to leave us with today?
I'll give you the one advice that I was willing to accept from my first investor, and that is never give up. And it's such a simple thing, but it's very deep and it's very painful not to give up. And all of us have difficult moments. All of us have moments where we just want to throw everything away, where we want to stop, or not push anymore, or stop believing in ourselves. And I think that the only reason why Real is still around is because I never gave up. And it's not because I'm super talented or super smart or we had an amazing idea. It's just about not giving up. And if you're still in the game, you have a chance to win. So I know that all of us in our personal lives, in our professional lives, are going through very difficult moments. I am going through very difficult moments, like everybody else. But I know that I will never give up. And this is what at least gives me a chance of winning. So don't give up.
I love it. I love it. Guys, before we do our two announcements, drop a 5 in the chat if you got something out of today. Drop a 5 in the chat if you got one nugget, one word, one sentence, one story, just something that could make you lean in and be like, you know what, I'm going to fight a little bit longer. I'm going to work a little bit harder today. I'm going to make that one more phone call today. I'm going to drink that one more water, go to the gym one more time, do that one more thing. And maybe some of you got that limiting belief that today's the day that I'm freaking done. I'm done playing small. I'm freaking ready to rock and roll. I'm ready to do it. Now, a couple things. First and foremost, first I will say, Tamir, thank you. You just cost Chet, who's on here with Cross Country Mortgage, a lot of money, because if we got to over 100 people, he has to take us out to a happy hour now here in Charlotte. So for those of you that are
Amazing.
around here, let's go jack up his bar tab and we will get a date out there for all of you on here. So if you want to come to us and you're close to Charlotte, put your email in the chat and we will personally invite you to see what we can do to his credit card limit. So congratulations. Thank you, Tamir, on that. Secondly, you have a conference with Real Rise in October. Jay, if you could put that on the screen. For those of you that are going to be around, talk to us a little bit about your conference that you got there with Real.
If you've never been to our conference, I think it's the most amazing conference in the real estate space, both in terms of content and energy, and also the party that we have on the last evening. So I can 100% guarantee to you that this is going to be an amazing experience for you. It's going to be in Las Vegas. We're going to own the hotel. So just the energy is like anything you've experienced before. So just join us and enjoy the party.
I love it. I love it. I've been there. I'm going there. I'm really excited to, the Vegas thing, the Vegas gets me a little not nervous. I do terrible with the time change. So I always have to like get myself, like I'm up at like 2:00 in the morning, falling asleep like at 7, but I'm going to fight through it. I'm going to fight through it. Never giving up on that. And the last thing that I got over here for us is we also have an event that I host, the National Real Estate Success Summit that I've been doing for the last several years. We have a quick little video to share this with you. It's only about 30 seconds. So Jay, if you can roll the video for a big announcement on where we're actually having it this year in the country. I think we're going to do it. We're working through it. We're figuring it out. We're just joking. We're not going to figure it out. We're doing it over here. Here we go. Oh, we're going to try one more time. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're interested in coming out there, we are going to Fort Myers, Margaritaville. We're very excited to have that. It is a 2.5-day event where we party, we have fun. We got a cruise ship going on. So I'm really excited because we go from Las Vegas to Fort Myers. We got great speakers lined up. So we got that link in the chat so you can get some more information about that if you're interested. Guys, I appreciate you. Tamir, I know you got a tight schedule, so I'm going to let you go. Buddy, I really appreciate you being on here. Thank you so much for being on our show today.
Thanks for having me. And thank you, everyone, for joining us this morning.
Guys, thank you so much for being on here. For those of you, feel free to come back Monday through Friday, 8:15 to 8:45 Eastern time. We always got different people on here. God bless you all. Guys, have a safe weekend. Be safe, be healthy, and we'll catch up with you guys Monday at 8:15. Till then, see ya.